This is the Be More podcast. I am your host, Jack Williams, and this is a show all about health, nutrition, mindset, and performing at our very best. And this is going to be your catalyst to being more. Good morning, guys and girls. Welcome to episode, what are we on now? 35, 34, 35 of the Be More podcast. Flying through them at, a mind-blowing rate. Had over 5,000 listeners now to the podcast. Like, it's so humbling, mental, massively motivating for me to realise that people actually enjoy listening to this podcast, and hopefully it's bringing you some value. And today, it's Sunday, it's very early in the morning, the sun's just come up, and it's just gone 6 a.m. and I'm seeing people actually materialise. So this morning I woke up at 4 in my crazy morning time. So basically I'm working through a routine at home where my circadian rhythm, I'm trying to make that work with my daily routine. So in the week, I start work typically at 6 a.m, sometimes 5. So that means I have to get up pretty early. And so I wanted to build a morning routine based on the books I've done and the research I've done on sleep recently. And decided that I was going to wake up at 4 a.m. And the circadian rhythm suggests that you should do that 7 days a week, because it still plays part of the weekend, which is where most people go wrong, right? They'll have a routine Monday to Friday with their sleep, with their training, with their eating, with their life, and then at the weekend that seems to go off the rails, and that's where I went wrong for a long portion of my life, probably for 25 years to be honest. And it's only really been recently that I've really made amends with trying to change that. So I've been up since 4. Me and Robin get up together, so the first hour of our routine is always committed to self-development, so we read for the first hour of the day. I normally get about half an hour reading done. The rest of it is just like trying to sort out my morning journal. So I go through the best self journal in the morning. I write down my gratitude. I look through my goals for the day. That takes me about 10 minutes. I normally have a shower as well, and then I'll sit down from like 25 past 4 and I'll read until 5 with my morning supplements. So I'll have like a thermo tea. I'll have my protein smoothie and my supplements like my vitamin A, B, blah, 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 everything that I have, my fish oils, etc. Then in the morning, so it's like a really positive start to the day, and I love it. And it gets to 5 a.m, I've done my self-development, I've had my nutrition, and then I'm ready to attack the day. And then so for today so far, I've done that. And while I was doing all that, there was people in the sea, like from last night, like messing about, so we had to shut the windows because they were screaming. And obviously everyone was celebrating England going through to semi-finals of the World Cup, by the way, which is mental. It's coming home. It's definitely coming home. Mental, but yeah, we were in bed last night before leaving. The Croatia-Russia game had finished, so we were in bed by 9. So that's how we get up so early. We get to bed early. But the night before we went to watch Post Malone at Wireless, so we were up late. So that yesterday was the first day that we didn't wake up at 4 a.m. in the last 3 weeks, I think, or 4 weeks. And yeah, we both said actually how much we didn't enjoy not getting up early because we felt like we had less in the day. We still got up at 7:30 in the morning, went to gym, and had a really good day. But we said we noticed how much of a difference it makes in our day to have 3 hours less, and that without having a morning routine, and how much we didn't really like it. So back at it today. So yeah, from 5 till 6, I'll put together a YouTube vlog, and now I'm here from 6 till 7 to do a quick podcast, and then we're gonna get breakfast. And then we're going to go to Brighton today, and we're going to train with one of the guys I had on the podcast recently, so I'm buzzing to see him. And then we're going to spend the day in Brighton, and then we're going to come back, see some of my family, see some of Robin's family. Like, it's just so much to get done in one day, whereas if we were getting up like we used to do, having done a load of gym, watched an England game, probably got pissed all night, we'd woken up today with a hangover, we wouldn't have done any of the things I just mentioned to you, and we wouldn't be going to Brighton to train, and we wouldn't be going to Brighton to have fun. And do you know what I mean? All these things these little disciplines that we put in place changes so much that we get done. Like, it's unbelievable. And this isn't even the topic of today's podcast. I'm just giving you an update on where I'm at. And I just can't, I like to document the journey of what we're going through. So I've called this podcast the Be More podcast. It's because I'm on a journey of trying to be more. And I feel like one of the best things I've done is do the research I've done on sleep. That you're probably thinking, you get up way too early, you need more sleep. Like, I still try and aim to get at least 7 hours, and then I'll try and get a nap in the day. That's my new routine. Rather than sleeping in later and getting less done in the morning where I'm most productive. I get up early, I get my shit done, and then I would rather because then I can relax later in the day. Like today, for example, in Brighton, I'll be able to relax with Robin and we'll have a good time. Whereas if I haven't done my like key things to do that are in alignment with my greater goal, like, and my purpose, like I don't feel good. Therefore, I'm not as good a person to be around. So it's not fair on Robin. It's not fair on me. It's not fair on anyone. Whereas it's just building up more and more self-awareness, and I feel like the more self-development you do, the more reading, the more you become in tuned and aware of who you are, the greater it is your ability to almost reverse engineer that into your daily actions, into living a life that's most right for you, right? And I think that's what this all comes down to. And I feel like this year I've found my purpose, and I found the route I want to take to try and make that, to try and live that purpose, you know. And whereby I want to have impact, I want to help people, I want to make a difference, and I want to actually try and influence people in a positive way in a world that I think needs it, and in a world that I feel is largely pessimistic, in a world that I feel is largely negative, in a world that's getting more and more unhealthy and more sick day by day. And I have a vision where I want to change that, and it's a vision that's built over time. It isn't a vision I had when I was a little boy. This is something that's built, and it's building really fast at the moment from everything that's happening in my day and from the life that I'm living. This isn't stuff that I thought about when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. I watched guys who were doing what I'm talking about, and they motivated me, they inspired me, but I never could see that that's something that I could be doing, ever. I would watch, the guy that I mentioned a lot on this podcast is Greg Plitt. He's the guy, the motivational speaker and the motivational, or Eric Thomas, these different YouTube guys that I would see, and I'd be like, these guys fire me up so much. Now I want to be that guy. I never imagined I could be that guy. Now my purpose and my direction and my vision is to be that guy and to bring the value to people who listen to the podcast and watch my content, to think, what can I go and do? What can I go and achieve? Who can I go and be? And what vision can I go and grow? And because you aren't going to be able to see huge progress you aren't going to be able to see what could be for you. But what you can do is see the next step and the next stepping stone and the next milestone for you. And so this is like a podcast I want to put out today to encourage you to do some little things that you can put into play that can help you move the needle in towards that place that you want to be, that can then open your eyes into this greater vision that I keep mentioning, because you won't be able to see it right now, or you might be able to. Everyone's got a different circumstance, right? You could be a professional football listening to this, and you could be League One, but before you were playing under 16s for a side on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? And this is how this what I'm trying to say is different for everybody, and it isn't me trying to sound superior, inferior, or anything. It's just a case of, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's happened to me, and this is what I want to inspire others to try and believe and see, that life is about growing, life is about improving. You don't have to be where you are right now. You don't have to stay there. You are where you are, and that's a result of what you've been doing. So therefore, if you want to change that, or if you want to improve, or if you want to just do anything, understand that it's what you do daily that will change that. And success, weight loss, health improvements, business improvements, relationship improvements are the result of the daily pursuit, the daily actions, the small disciplines that you make and desire to do. They're often easy to do and easy not to do every single day. And these are the things that compound over time. That the best books I could recommend reading are The Slight Edge and The Compound Effect. That they're so real. Just like if you eat one apple, it isn't going to change your health. But eating apples consistently over time will change your health, in conjunction with a good diet. Same as going for one run or going for one gym session isn't going to make you a fitness professional or an athlete, but continuously doing it over time will elicit the results that you would expect from someone who does it frequently and is consistent. It's the compound effect. It's that compound effect of the continuous pursuit of trying to improve. It's like Will Smith. He didn't become the best actor probably of all time, from one movie or from one like rehearsal. It's that constant pursuit day after day of doing what he does to make him the best, to make him as good as he is, right? But I'm on strict time instructions to get this podcast done in 15 minutes. It's now 10 minutes in. I haven't even mentioned what I want to talk about today, but it all leads in. It's all linked. So the thing that I want to talk about today is just writing things down. Like there's no need now for us to have pen and paper. I think I finished university at 21 and I didn't have a pen or paper until I was probably about 24, 25. I just didn't, I think I'd lost the ability to use it almost a pen and write almost. Because everything would be online, everything would be on my Mac, or it would be on my phone on my notes section, or it would be, do you know what I mean? It would be, we live in a world where we don't really even need to write things down anymore once we leave school. Unless you're in a job where you have to obviously manually write things down, but I didn't really need to. Everything was just online, on spreadsheets, etc. Whereas I found more recently getting pen and paper back in my life and having like notepads, books, the journal that I use, where you write things down, it's just a different kind of feeling you get when things become more powerful. Things become, you can see it in front of you, right? So start writing things down. The goals you've got set, it could be weight loss, it could be, for that you need to write down what you're eating, or you need to write down what your plan is, you need to write down how many calories you want to eat, or you need to write down what your goal is from your diet, why you're doing it, what you're going to plan to eat, how you're going to go about doing that, what your plan is to go and attack that, when you're going to prep your meals, like managing everything and writing it down and putting it in somewhere that you can see it every single day, so you know that you're working in alignment with what you've written down. Because you're going to get pumped from listening to this podcast or just watching a YouTube video, or there'll be a time in your month where you feel motivated to go and work towards your goals, but that willpower motivation will fizzle out based on circumstances, based on how you feel, based on your nutrition, based on your sleep, based on your creativity. Like all these things, they all are interlinked, but there'll be points in the month where that won't be so high, and your actions will align how you feel, and how you feel will be, obviously, it can be influenced by what you're constantly looking at, what you're constantly reading, what you're constantly taking on board. And if you're constantly forcing yourself or disciplining yourself to write things down every day, what did I do today? What lessons have I learned from today? What wins have I had from today? What relationships have I built? What have I done? What hours have I been productive with? Where have I lost time? What can I do better? Diarise everything. Like, learn to write things down. Learn to be habitual with these things, because, like I said before, doing it once won't matter, but doing that every day for a long time will compound into huge changes in your life. And I'm someone who does that myself, and I can guarantee you right now that the first 13 weeks that you do this, because I recommend the Best Self Journal, they're 13 weeks long, you won't really find much of a massive impact from it. But with every 13-week journal that you complete, see the great vision, see the macro, see the long term, see the 4 or 5 years later, and think, how many of these journals can I do in that amount of time, and how much further will that move the needle, where I'm consciously writing things down, I'm consciously pursuing 3 goals that are in my head, like they could be in business, in life, in relationships, or in fitness and health, whatever they might be, and you're working through them all every day. And on a Sunday like it's today, I have the opportunity to go through all of them and figure out if my week has been in alignment with that. And then I set goals for the following week, and I plan my week. Sundays for me are huge for that. And without doing this, I can actually tell you for a fact right now, I'm probably timesing my progress by 10 at least by doing this every Sunday, and by writing things down every day. Morning gratitude, evening gratitude. These things make you generally happier anyway. That's proven by bloody science and research, that there's part of your brain that just fires up when you become grateful, and when you set goals, and when you get excited, and when you feel like you're growing, and when you write down your wins for the day, and when you become conscious of what you're doing. Like, this stuff isn't just woo-woo. It isn't, like, I'm not making it up. This stuff is proven to be things that people do that leads to greater success in any field, any area, any goal. If you become aware of what it is, and if you write it down, that you can literally change your life hugely. And it isn't about this being a great idea. Great ideas don't matter. It's about your execution of it. So I used to listen to podcasts all the time, listen to books on my walks where I'll be trying to get X amount of steps in for my step count for the day or whatever it was, right? And I would listen to them and I'd be thinking, yeah, I'd be inspired. I'd love it. I'd be in a good mood afterwards. But very rarely did I ever take action on any of the things that I learned. Very, very rarely. And if I did it, I'd go in with like a half-hearted approach. I would be like 50% in. Or I can even give you an example of that in the last few weeks. I read a book on sleep, and it said to write down your cycles that you get through. So you have a sleep cycle, that's what he tracks versus hours. Write it down. Have a schedule for the week. Now it's next to me, over to the right hand side. I will show you, but it's going to cause a bit of a mess. But basically, I haven't filled it out. I'm not all in with it. And if you do the same with listening to this podcast and think, I want to do this, it sounds like a great idea. If you don't go and do it, it doesn't matter. You aren't going to see the results from it. That you're only going to get out what you put in. And that's, like, life is the fairest thing in the world. Like we see it as, oh, it's unfair that this person has that, or it's down to circumstances. And then you drop excuses why you don't have what they have. And it's seen as unfair, right? It's the fairest thing in the world. The gym's the fairest thing in the world. Business is the fairest place in the world. The marketplace is the marketplace, and the value that you bring will dictate what you will get out of it. And it's the same with the gym. The more you put in, the more you'll get out. The same with your diet. The more consistent you are, the greater your rewards. And it's the fairest thing in the world. And we make excuses, and we're brainwashed and conditioned into thinking that the successful people are lucky, or it was about timing, or it was about their parents, or they were born into some kind of trust. It's bullshit. It's not that. Most millionaires are self-made. They're not from the result of their parents. Just like people who get in shape, it's not because their parents are genetically Usain Bolt. Like, sometimes people are a great genetic predisposition, don't get me wrong. People have greater genes than others, and people can get in. There's some guy that I train with, right? And he looks like a Greek god. And he hardly even trains. Doesn't eat very well. He's genetically very gifted. Also, he's got a very good work habit every day. He's a builder. He's always moving stuff. He's going to look good because of that, right? And his diet is naturally good because he's brought up in a good way. His relationship with food is good. He likes protein. Like, he likes chicken and things like that. So generally, he eats it and lives a healthy lifestyle. So it all aligns. But he also has great genetics. Not everyone's blessed with that. But what we are blessed with is the ability to go and do what we want to do. We're blessed with choice. We're blessed with a brain that we can control, that we can decide what we're going to go and do. So from this podcast, decide that you're going to go and write things down. You've got your goals. Go and write them down. Go to WH Smith's, buy a £2 notepad. Or even better, go on bestself.co and order yourself a Best Self journal. Make these next 13 weeks the most progress that you've made in a 3-month period than ever before in your life. Set some goals. Write down what you do every day. And are you in alignment with them goals that you got set? Make them challenging, make them hard, but make them achievable as well. And then let me hold you accountable. Like, comment below, hit subscribe, whatever it is you need to do to get that accountability. Listen to these podcasts on a weekly loop. Turn the bell on so you know when they go live, and listen to them. This can be your personal development. This can be whatever it might be. This can be your accountability. You can even message me if you want to say, right, I fucking love that podcast, Jack. Here's my goals. I'm ready for this now. I'm going to write things down. I want to be accountable. And I'll be like, cool, bro, or awesome, mate. Let's fucking smash this. And then in 13 weeks' time, message me again and tell me how you got on. I'd love to hear from you. Like, I don't want any kind of monetary reward for this. I don't want to be paid. I just want to know that these podcasts are bringing you value and they're having an impact, and they're influencing you to go and take action. So as much as I want to teach you, and as much as I want you to learn, I want you to do That's what I want. That's what I want for people to understand, that I've done this podcast game for years. Listened. Very rarely did I take action on what I learned. Yes, it's compounded and it's built my knowledge and my self-awareness and a lot of like ideas that I have and my creativity, and it's helped me in millions of ways. But what will help you the most is if you take action on what you learn. And that's what the greatest people in the world that you see, that's what they're doing. Like the guy, for example, who owns Starbucks, that guy was told when he started Starbucks that selling coffee would never be a fruitful business, would never be a successful business. And he was just like, really? You don't reckon it would? Maybe I should rethink this. And he didn't lose that belief that it would work. He listened to people. He didn't ignore them. He listened and he tried to learn different reasons why it wouldn't work. And he put them up against reasons why it would. And he went all in on his strengths. He went all in on what he knew would work. And he's built the greatest, one of the biggest companies, businesses in the world. They're everywhere. You can't go anywhere in the world and not see a Starbucks. There's probably a few places, right? But if he had listened to the doubters and the haters in the beginning, he wouldn't have got to where he wants to be. And I guarantee he had goals written down in paper in front of him, and he worked through them day by day. And the small disciplines led him to the great results that he got. My breakfast is ready. I better go. Over and out. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Do me a favour and let me know what you think. Leave a comment. I'll be massively grateful if you do. Have an awesome week coming up, and I will see you in the next podcast. Cheers, guys.